Jazz hands.
Jazz hands. Just like that, it's Wednesday night. Once again, man.
Well, here we are in a whole big stream of folks have been in here since like SSR Performance has been here since 6:30 this morning, right?
Wow.
And then wanted to punch me right in the junk at 2:24 about where's them Triple Crown rules.
Right.
So, yeah. Trust me, I wasn't working on them.
Right,
I was busy just trying to stay alive. Since last Wednesday, man, I got so sick. Thursday, like literally the day after we had the live, I got so sick, and I was laid up at home all the way until essentially yesterday, which was what, Tuesday? Golly. So, wow. Yeah, but no, I was down for the count.
Yeah, I wasn't. I luckily had gotten over it. I was sick for the previous 2 weeks before that last Wednesday, and I just dealt with it,
Yeah, well, maybe I just need to put up my man card and put down my purse and go lay on the couch. But I'll get all these people greeted in here. SSR Performance Unfinished Project Dart Sport. Slant Daily Garage, what's up, suckers? Dust Devil Garage is in the house. Paul Pahui, Racer Ray, even though it just says Racer, or AKA, was it 38 POS Racing? KS Skyhawk X1S is in the house. Clint Street Machines is here. Buff Del Campo, Ant D 1672, Hot Rod Guy Garage Russell. Bigfoots and Mopars, Mustangs and minivans, Michael Schmidt and Levi's Backyard Performance. So welcome to the Wednesday Night Tech Talk Live, the only place you get actual.
And Wednesday Night Tech Talk now is brought to you by WAF Racing. WAF Racing, man. Yeah. So go get your little plastic parts. They're really cool, man. And they, I'm telling you, I've been filling them up. I got a whole. You can see the Cookie Monster over there. I got spark plugs in there, and I got little tools in it. They work awesome. Go and check it out, wafracing.com. Go check them out.
Well, let's see. Do we have any questions yet? So we got KS Skyhawk says, happy Thanksgiving, especially thanks to Shane and Dallas for giving a bit of themselves, of their experiences and their time. For instance, made me thankful for Wednesdays at 7 to 9. So, right. Hey, you're welcome. Anything we can provide for you that helps you out, so be it.
Happy Thanksgiving to everyone, by the way. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving.
Yeah, tomorrow is Thanksgiving. I got to play Juggle the Sun. So he's got to, after breakfast, I got to take him over to his mom's house. And after his mom's house, then he comes back to my house. And then I got to do the same thing on Saturday. So don't your weekends sound grand? Let's see. KS Skyhawk says, I've been sectioning a Buick 350 head through the center of each port. At least that's the plan. 3+ hours and X number of Sawzall blades later. I'm an hour plus from finishing the first.
Yes, it takes forever. I've done this on the Slant 6, man, because I wanted to know. It takes forever.
Let's see. He said he couldn't locate anybody nearby with a bandsaw that had the capacity.
Yeah. It's true, man. I did the same thing. The first one, before I started messing with these, I wanted to know, what am I playing with? And I cut it right down the port. I actually did it too, intake and exhaust. And that's when I realized, well, you can't really do much to these things. But that was after literally almost a full Saturday of sawzawing. And I got the whole economy pack. And I just went right through them. Ridiculous.
Oh, does a cast iron chew them up that bad?
Yeah, it just eats them up because they just don't, because they get hot and it just destroys them.
Yeah, once they get hot, the teeth just literally fall off of it.
Exactly. And so you try to go slow with it, but then it just takes forever. And then you try to move it back and forth so you're not on the same part of the teeth, It just, and then there were so many sawzalls being used, blades, that I didn't want to buy the good ones from like Home Depot. So I went to Harbor Freight, and that could probably not helped either. But, I got a whole box.
Just so I can keep everybody up to speed, I guess. I was planning on having a video out hopefully this week, but that did not happen. I have been in the process of quite a few big jobs that are going to make leaps and bounds of differences, but I was welding up my What If 300 Buick 300 intake manifold.
Nice.
And I got to a point where that's when I ended up realizing I was sick, because like Thursday, see, I'm like one of those people that refuses. Like I literally refuse to go to the doctor unless I'm dying, right? Something's sticking out of me or I'm dying. And I woke up that morning feeling kind of rough, and I'm like, well, I'll drink 3 cups of coffee and I'll be fine. So I got 3 cups of coffee in, and I went out and I like started welding on my intake manifold, and literally the sweat was pooling on the visor in the welding helmet, right? And I'm like,
That's when you know you're sick.
man, I wonder why I'm sweating so bad.
Yeah.
And then it dawned on me, like, oh, no wonder I'm shaking. I can't do anything right. I can't think clearly. I've got to be sick, dude. And so I just I put my stuff down. I went inside. I took my temperature, it was like 101.5. And I'm like, yep, I'm sick. You know, so then it was just like, okay, on to the movie marathon, and just put my PJs on and movie marathon for like the next 3 days. And I don't remember jack crap.
Yeah, actually, we got something here. So Levi's got, so I got a question, not tech, but racing related. Here's the question. What is the highest form of drag racing that an independent individual can compete in and do for many years? It used to be in the pro categories recently, but I think it recently isn't in place. I actually know, we were actually just talking about this today at work. Because we were talking about the quarter mile, eighth mile thing, but here's my thing is I think the 850 index class is the thing in the quarter mile, because a lot of cars can get there with relatively easily. Now, like say you have like a Dodge Dart, you can get a Hellcat engine.
850 is super comp though. Okay. Just to let you guys know, that's super comp.
Yeah. So, but I'm talking about like for like a drag and drive stuff too.
Oh,
so you could do like an 850 class for like a drag and drive. Once you get beyond the 850 class, that's where the cages become expensive. That's where the certs become expensive. It's expensive to get to 850, but then it gets really expensive beyond that. So I think personally, my position on this is 850 would be the limit of like your regular individual who just doesn't want to throw a bunch of cash at something, relatively have a car that he can drive around. They'd either be turbocharged or supercharged. Very rarely do you see them on nitrous at that level for like drag and drive without a lot of maintenance. I know because I have one. But that would be about it, and that's my opinion. What's yours, Dallas, on this one?
I'm a rule breaker on these things, right?
Okay.
I really like I don't know the best way to put it, fucking shit up when it comes to stuff like this, because I hate being put in the box and people saying you can't do that, right? If somebody was wanting to do a max effort, like let's say you're going to pick a pro category. If you're going to go a pro category, why are you going to show up with Tickle Me Elmo Pro Stock, right? I'd be going Top Fuel, right? And then here's the thing. If you think your way around the box, all right, a lot of these guys don't think their way around the box. They just go at what's the norm, spend the money and go, right? Mm-hmm. But you could buy literally like a 3-year-old used chassis. You would have quite a bit of money on probably a 3-year-old chassis. But remember, Top Fuel, the limit is 500 cubic inches. No one's saying you can't show up with 350 cubic inches. I'd like to see someone show up and honestly put in an effort that's completely different angle. So you show up with like, say, a Gen 3 Hemi. Show up with a Gen 3 Hemi. The max effort deal is 1071 high helix or 1471 high helix, whatever their limit is on the blower. Well, there's nothing saying you can't have a 1071 or a 1271 high helix setup or just a 1271, but you're running it on nitromethane. And so like the gain in nitromethane, if you think about it, if you want to keep it together and run it, you would run no more than like say 70%. You can probably get a season out of one engine, even though you re-ring it, re-bearing it every time, and it would need new springs every run. Okay, mm-hmm. So don't say that wouldn't, and it would also need a clutch
and an oil change.
Yeah, and you could probably run a Top Fuel team if you were willing to cut some corners and do it for the little guy and like literally have, if you could work, what would be ideal is if you could get one of those cool work from home jobs and get paid like $150,000 a year, and your home is in your race trailer, and you just work from there all week, and then you show up on the weekend to run the Top Fuel event. And qualifying, here's the thing, like qualifying is kind of a joke anymore. Okay. Do you remember way back when? Huh?
There's not enough. Yeah.
There's no one there. You got literally like 8 teams that have 20 cars each, and it's like, so really where this kind of came to fruition for me was way back in like 2008, 2009, after the economy had crashed. Like half the cars were showing up at NASCAR events, and they had these teams that they always called start and park teams, right? They would literally start the car, they'd run one lap, finished 43rd place, collect $10,000 and go home, right? Well, I started thinking, like, what if you built a start and park team and didn't park, right? Let all these other knuckleheads go out there and tear each other up, and you're going around at like half the speed of everyone else. What are they going to do, black flag you? I mean, that's the worst case scenario. Any lap greater than 1, and you're doing good.
Yeah.
So be the last start and park team. And it got me thinking, like, why can't you do something like that? You know what I mean? Like, think outside the box.
It's too much to get into those races. It costs a lot of money just to get into the race.
Does. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's when he says, what's the highest form of drag racing an independent individual can compete in?
I still can do Top Fuel.
I don't think so. At least for me, and like I have a decent budget for racing, but man, that would be expensive, and I would only be able to do like maybe 1 or 2 races a year. Right?
I'm kind of wondering why somebody hasn't looked at the big picture, and that maybe I just need to look at the rules, because I haven't looked at the rules of Top Fuel. There's unobtainium to me, right? Mm-hmm. But when you're looking at the rules, like we always talk about, what's unwritten in the rules, right? Well, they say your wheelbase needs to be X of the X. Mm-hmm. Well, there's nothing saying you can't be shorter. They know a shorter car loses, right? Yeah. But if you were to figure out, there's never been a shorter car with a Gen 3 Hemi. There's never been a shorter car running on nitromethane with a Gen 3 Hemi, and take the screw blower off and just run.
I do know that in Top Fuel you have to run a Gen 2 Hemi, and
it doesn't say that.
Well, it does in the cylinder head, because the cylinder head has to be the factory port, location. When I was at Don Schumacher Racing, they went through all the rules on the engine on what they could and couldn't do. They're at the max limit of the actual port opening, because it has to be a factory height head with a factory port location. And
well, I don't know if it has to be a Hemi though. That's the thing, is like, remember the Brad Anderson aluminum big block Chevrolet that competed in Top Fuel for a few years.
Yeah, you could, but I'm saying that the Hemi is the Hemi, the Gen. If it's a Hemi, it has to be the Gen 2 Hemi, and there's a shit ton of rules around them. Every engine that they're allowing, there is a list of rules for each one of them, and you can get them. I'm pretty sure, but yeah, there's a lot.
The reason why I say that is Top Fuel, like, okay, yeah, the cars are super fast, but if you were to think about it, like, I don't see why, you know that machine like Cletus McFarland got that just ran like 217 miles an hour in the 8th.
Yeah.
Dude, if you were to lose the car body on that and go to like a Top Fuel car, like a long dragster,
mm-hmm.
What would that thing run? Would it be in the realm? You know what I mean? Do you have to run nitromethane in the Top Fuel class? Can you just run methanol?
No. And you got to run nitromethane.
Percentage?
What's that?
A certain percentage of nitromethane?
Yes. Yeah, you have to run a certain percentage, and you can't go over a certain percentage. There's a range in there that you have to run.
Yeah, I would definitely look at what the rules and possibilities were on that. I don't know. And that's something I haven't really cracked into. But, I would say the way things are going right now, it looks like the IHRA is literally going to be the game in town. Yeah. And they have the opportunity to rewrite some of these stupid rules that have got us stuck in this one box. And I wish them well. I hope they do.
Yeah.
I hope they change things up, because that's why I was doing the AHRAs, because shit just wasn't working. I mean, you can't do the same old thing and expect everybody it's going to get better. you know.
Well,
So,
Michael Schmidt's asking,
but
Rancher shocks. What's the most efficient way to find shocks that have and fit for older cars not listed on their site? I need to measurements to find shocks. Actually, I just did this. You can usually go into like say O'Reilly's or whatever, and they'll still have a catalog if you go to the contractor area where like you don't go to the front counter, you go to the back counter. Those are where all the professionals go, and they have a catalog for them. And they use every shock has a compressed height, and then has a free extend height, and then it tells you all the different eyelids on them. So and then that's how I got the Rancho shocks for the Cookie Monster when I was still running Caltrax on it, because I wanted to set it at a different height than what the ones in the Caltrax came with. So I ran the Rancho 9000s on those. But yeah, that's how I did it. They've got to have a catalog on their webpage that just tells you how it is they'll have like a number. Like, I don't remember it off the top of my head. So if I say it wrong, it is what it is. I'm going by memory from 10 years ago. But it was like 15000, and that was whatever the eyelid was, up at top and up at bottom. And the next number was like, say, the bottom. Then they would have the number for how far the extension was and how close it would when it compressed. And then that's how you made the number. And then literally you just make your number that way. And it was rather easy. But there's a picture catalog on how to do it.
up here at 706, Clayton's Toolbox says when deboning engines, I'm assuming that says it means rebuilding.
Oh, okay.
Building engines. What engines have you found one that made way more power than you thought? What was it? What did it make more power than you expected? Or why did it make more power than you expected? God, what's wrong with me today?
I know
mine was 302 Ford. I love the 302 Ford. It was kind of like it was in everything in like the 90s. But I was surprised at how much power you could make with the thing. Literally like just basic heads, cam, and intake kind of deal. And they would ring out some really good numbers. But a lot of it, I think, was because the main bearing size and the bore stroke ratio was complementary.
Mm-hmm. For me, it was a 340. The fastest car in our town was a 340 Duster. It had TA heads on it. It was a factory replacement engine, a 4-speed, and literally bone stock. And no one around the town, every tunnel ran 350 Chevy, everybody who came around to race that guy, he would literally start that car up, put gas in it, go out there and just clean their clock. And it was just way more power than I could ever imagine a stock engine having. Oh, he did have headers on it though. And he had a Holley 650 carb on it. So yeah, that was for me. It was. Oh, so Mr. Wilson's in here.
Big bore, short stroke.
Big bore, short stroke. Plus, same thing, small bearings. So,
yeah.
Mr. Wilson's in here. So Mr. Wilson says, I broke down and bought a Predator carburetor off of Marketplace. Awesome. Somebody say a prayer for me, dude. I'm telling you, I've got two of them.
You don't need a prayer. Those are actually those carbs were good for what they were. I mean, it's a variable Venturi carburetor, isn't it? Isn't that what it is?
Exactly. Yeah. And the problem is they don't make many parts for them anymore, though.
No, but see, those things were good for what they were. They were literally an idle circuit and wide open throttle.
Yeah.
That's really all they were. And they worked good for both. So.
Well, you know, on Plan Z, I just happen to have two Predator carburetors. So because Predator carburetors work so well when they're under vacuum, that's why you saw them on like superchargers and whatnot, because they work on demand. There might be a Predator carburetor coming soon to Mr. Who knows? I might do a Predator versus VRS versus Holley versus, whatever at the track. Who knows? So, yeah, they're awesome carburetors. I like them. But the biggest thing about them is that the upper Venturi that's variable, they would have a leather strap on those. There was literally a lever flap. So if it was a backfire, it would blow up. But it needs that. So that's actually what rides as the air demand goes in. It's got a little cam. And as it rotates that, it would allow more fuel to go in. It's a really simple system. And then you would adjust the spring tension on them, how much would go in there. Well, over the years, that stuff gets really hard and it pulls back and it shrinks. So then it allows air. So what I would like to do is get some of those reed material, like for like reeds for two strokes, and then put those on there. So that way it's a nice, carbon fiber or even fiberglass, thin piece. And if it ever blew it back, it would allow it to flap back up so it wouldn't break off. So But yeah, Predator carburetors are awesome.
So Andy's saying bring back junior fuel. I'll tell you what, like all the years when I was doing AHRA, I brought back classes and golly, what a flop. I won't do it ever again. Never. I don't care if it's like looking like there's bucket loads of money in there.
Well, I'm telling you, if they did this for fuel cars, if they got rid of the dual mags, they put a single mag on cars, and then they limited the amount of nitromethane, just like they do in the Heritage Series down there in California, you would have a lot more racers because it limits the speeds because you can only burn so much fuel with a single mag, and you limit the amount of nitromethane into it.
We talked about this, like,
Yeah.
I don't know. You and I talked about this a couple of years ago where we had came up with a plan where it was like limit the mag and limit the fuel pump, right? Because the way a nitro car works, the more nitro you cram into it, the more power it makes, right? So you limit the fuel pump to the maximum limit and limit the mag so it can't burn it all. You know, if you start cramming more in there, it can't burn it.
Yeah.
I like the idea of not the. So if you've ever noticed on Top Fuel, after they do the burnout, they'll usually turn on the second magneto and it'll clear up everything it had from the burnout because it shoves so much fuel in it, it'll actually blow the plugs out. And then the thing will be running on like six cylinders. It only needs like 2 cylinders out of 8 to run because it's just it explodes for so long, the duration of explosion. It'll put some of the cylinders out and you'll see them because it'll just be like white puffs coming out the exhaust, right? And then when they back them up, they turn on the second mag, it cleans them up and it starts popping on all 8 again. And that's the only way that they can do that is they got more spark, more mag, more fuel, you know, tons. And then that's what brings them around. And what usually happens is one of the cylinders will go out and get so wet, it'll go out.
Yeah.
And then it fills the cylinder full of fuel so fast because the pump is pushing so much fuel that it'll hydraulic the head off the motor. And that's where you see those glorious, spectacular explosions is because it's hydraulic the nitromethane in the block and push the head off and then
it lights off.
Yeah.
And then it lights off.
Yeah.
SSR is at it again. Mr. Triple Crown rules. Now the fiberglass is allowed. Does that mean anywhere? Roof and quarters? Look, we've talked about this before. Isn't it just roof and not roof, but I mean hood and bumpers or in fenders?
No, we pretty much said that you could have fiberglass as long as you met the weight because you could have technically a Corvette in there that's completely fiberglass.
But if you do that, then people are going to show up with, like, say, a Nova that was a Nova at some point, and then literally it's going to have fiberglass like whatever. It's going to get out of control. So
no, that's not going to get out of control. Okay. So here's the realistic part of it. If you want to have fiberglass everything in the fucking car, knock yourself out, right? Like, remember, it's got to have real glass in it. Real glass.
No, we said that you could put
did I say that backwards?
Yeah, you said that you can have plexiglass windows.
Oh no, I know what it was. It has to look like the real car.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Legit car. It can't be stretched pro mod trash shit like that.
Exactly. And it's got to be factory
like the car.
Factory wheelbase, factory pickup points, and you can only have 100-pound weight box. Remember that.
And it has to have the factory suspension pickup points. And it's not like it. I don't know where this is going to go. God, it's like, it seems like to me, it should be like, you should have some kind of claimer on it, you know, because otherwise everybody has their interpretation of what this is.
Yeah.
Or what it should be. Right. And the reality of it is I hate changing the rules. I hate it. I wish it was just simple. You roll a fucking chassis in there, put a motor in it, go have fun. That's what the class was intended to be.
Well, you got people like him that just want to keep, lighter.
He wants to have the fastest car. He wants to go fast. He wants to go in the class. And I completely understand that.
Yeah.
I don't like the idea of, that's the problem with the encroachment, right? Like you got the encroachment point. And that's what you call it really, is the encroachment point. It's when you start encroaching a rule, a bendable rule area that can be interpreted so far that you end up with a Top Fuel funny car in a fucking class meant for street cars.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
where it's like, man, I hate that encroachment. You try to draw it up there and then just draw the line,
Yeah.
and
And the
then
whole idea of this class.
sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. The whole idea of this class is to have cars that people already have. The whole idea is to make this cheap racing. If we keep, the thing is about the whole fiberglass thing, we keep allowing more fiberglass, it just means more money, more dollars, more dollars,
Well,
more dollars.
If you think about it, there's going to be only so much fiberglass you can put on the car anyway, because one, it's got one weight box, right?
That's right.
And what's the maximum amount of weight you can put in the weight box?
100 pounds.
100 pounds. So where are you going to put all that weight at? Right?
Yeah.
Now, I don't mind it having, fiberglass everywhere. If you can make weight, you're still making weight. And as long as it's still got pretty much the factory suspension on it and the factory chassis, there's probably not going to be a problem. That's the way I look at it in this class. I think, the Corvette, you could show up with a Corvette. The only problem that you see with the downside with the Corvette used to be the independent rear suspension, but they got that sorted out years ago.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's already fiberglass cars in there. And if you think about it, if somebody wanted to show up with a 41 Willys, I seriously doubt they're going to show up with a steel 41 Willys.
Yeah.
So I don't know where we're going to go with that, but I did think we did put a limit on. We did say you had to run the glass, right? Or no, Lexan.
You could run Lexan, but I was almost thinking like bumpers, hood, and maybe fenders at that, or maybe even
there was a lot of guys asking about fenders and I'm like, if it makes weight, I don't think it really matters, right? Mm-hmm. Because it is a weight to cubic inch class.
True.
And that's one of those things that we may progressively just let it kind of be where it's going to lie. Because I can't see anybody showing up with a pro stock car with the way you got the chassis and the suspension locked down and then 100 pounds in a weight box. Where the hell are you going to put the rest of the weight?
Yeah. I don't know, but he's asking for a reason because he's going to try.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's a roof and quarters.
So the only thing that I think is going to happen is like eventually you'll get enough of them that are right on the edge of the sketch, right? The encroachment part on every freaking rule. And then they're going to cry and whine, want an outlaw Triple Crown class, right? Where it has no rules, has no chassis. And then the next thing you got a top fuel dragster, Okay. I don't show up.
We're falling way behind here. So we're going to get through some of these a little faster. So it says, in my 350 Oldsmobile, a V8 was balanced with a harmonic balancer and flex plate. Do I need to match the new flex plate when replacing the one that it was balanced with? As long as it's neutral balanced, it doesn't really make much of a difference. I mean, honestly, I've done it both ways, and haven't had a problem either way. Now that I work at Lunati, I actually design a lot of stuff for Lunati. We have a balancer machine there, and I've balanced a crankshaft with their harmonic balancer and a flywheel on the back, and I took it off and did it again. It didn't make any difference because it was a reputable company where it was an ATI harmonic balancer, and it was really nice. I forget who it was as far as the flex plate, but they were neutral balanced and they were good to begin with, so it didn't make any difference. As long as it's a good company, it's not a China, Ching Chong Chinaman one flex plate, I wouldn't.
And I don't know if Oldsmobile is externally balanced. If it is externally balanced, I would literally look and see where, because you can compare them side by side or hold them up next to each other.
Yep.
And if it's relatively close, it probably doesn't need jack crap.
Yeah.
But the rule of thumb, if you went and asked the machinists, they're going to say, yep. And that's because, what do they say? The machinist has never met a surface they didn't like.
Right.
They did like.
Levi's saying something really funny. You could do a crowd fund for a top fuel team. Well, just sell T-shirts. That's literally how they used to do it.
Original crowdfunding, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a sort of thing. You could crowdfund it, but you couldn't crowdfund knowledge to be competitive. That's true. And there's many people that have shown up and tried to be competitive.
Yeah, and FabMod Race Mod Repeat says this, and this is fun. This is true. The highest class you could would depend on your bankroll and willing to spend on how good your sponsor you can get. But as far as an individual, that's why I said that. Most individuals with a decent job nowadays could really do an 850 class in the quarter mile if you do drag and drives and not have a problem, because once you get to that level, it's really, it's not a crazy cage. It's still a car you can drive on the road. Levi is going to be there pretty quick. I mean, my blue car is an 850 car all day long. So it's really not that hard to get to that point,
Okay. Vintage Adventure Drives at 715 says, tech question, what's the advantages and disadvantages of using tubes and slicks, bead screws not being a problem? Okay. One, all right, you got to use a drag tube. Okay. Yes. First off, if you're going to use tubes, you need to use a drag tube. And it has a screw on valve stem. Okay. Otherwise, the tractor tubes will literally just rip the valve stem off the second it turns.
Yep.
All right. The other thing is weight. Okay. A tube is essentially like having two tires.
Yes.
So when you pick it up, it has mass to it. And then
it doesn't compress as easy too. So you're going to have a different footprint now with different
The other thing is where I changed from using tubes to not having tubes was when I was a novice racer and I kept my slicks in a storage building. I go pick them up and go to the track and have some fun and drop them back off. And that was it for me. When I started having a car that was like trailered there, it was fast, it was prepared, is when I ditched the tubes because I kept tearing them. One, and they're not freaking $20 tube. They're like $100 tube. The other thing that really irked me about the tube was you could not balance that tire for jack shit. And I know balancing is not something that you normally do on a drag slick, but I'm telling you, man, when it's out of balance at the top end, yeah. And it sucked. So I decided, let me try it without tubes. And I'm doing all the tricks that everybody else was doing, like the dishwashing soap and stuff like that to seal them, to get them good and sealed. And the trick that helped me the most was if you're going to put the bead screws in it, I just put RTV on the bead screw and screw it through the wheel and then let her set up and then air her up, and you'll be good.
But there's a limit too, this is my limit that I found. I was with Dallas on this. I used tubes at first, then I took no tubes. But once you start getting into the 8th mile, I would say once you hit about that 5-second range, you're going to start notice that you're going to start crushing the tire, okay? And you're going to be having to actually put more air into the tires because you're going to be hitting the tire harder. When I went to a glide and I was actually hitting with the 200 shot of nitrous out of the hole, I would say right around the 570 mark, I noticed I had to put the tubes back in just because I was crushing the tire. I couldn't put enough air in the tire to keep it from collapsing, because once it would hit the tire so hard, then it would unload because there's so much pressure on it. When I put the tubes in it, I could actually take some of that air back out, and it kept some of the sidewall, but yet it still maintained its manners down the road. And with that, I still did exactly what Dallas said. I still put bead screws through them. I still put the RTV in them, and I still put them in like that, let them set up. And that's how I do it. But that's the limit. I would say once you get into the 570s is where I noticed on my car, hitting it that hard out of the hole, I was crushing the tire. The rim was literally an inch from the ground because it was just, even at 15 pounds. Once I put the tubes in it, that went away.
Let's see. Brooke saying, for any of you that have heard of War in the Woods at Brown County, then you know that most times the wrecks are pretty bad. Will you tell Dylan I'm not being irrational for not letting him go? Oh, man, I'm not going to pick a side on this. I'm not going to pick a side, but I'm going to tell you what I know, and I'm newly divorced. I would there's certain battles that you fight and certain battles that you don't. Okay. That's all I'm going to tell you.
I'm with Andy on this one, because War in the Woods is an event, but I won't go back. And here's why. I personally have no desire to drive a car there. I've been to a track like Pickwick. If you ever live here in the South, I went to this track Pickwick. If you want to go see what War in the Woods is like, go to Pickwick. It's the exact same thing. It's a track that literally is just barely maintained. It's completely outlaw. And when you get into an accident, you're going to get hurt. It's and Pickwick actually is it's flat, then it goes uphill, and the finish line is over a hump. So it goes, and you visually can see the hump. And I've done a couple no prep races out there. I have no desire to go to that, but I'm with Andy on this one because I see how many crashes and how many things are. Just it's not for me. I'm just not into that. That's just not my type of
I'm
event.
gonna let her all hang out on the ragged edge, right? Like
Yeah.
I got money in my stuff, and I don't plan on balling it up.
Now, this car, on the other hand, I don't care. You know what I mean? It's going to have a slant six in it, but you might get something different. But at this car here, I don't care much about because I'm not married to it. The blue car, that's where the family started. This car, not so much. You know what I mean? So maybe that's kind of where it's at. It's like, do you care about the car or not? What do you got into it?
Andy says up here, NHRA Top Fuel rules say that you can only run a 4.80 bore spacing, which rules everything else out. So I guess there you go. Now it's Gen 2 Hemi.
Yeah, I remember that there was somewhere in there that it had to be a Gen 2 Hemi. And I think that's what the bore spacing, and that's the reason why they did that. But even in the heads, I'm telling you, when I went to Don Schumacher Racing and I see what they have to do to these heads to get them to work, it's just amazing because it literally is a factory architecture head. It is literally a factory architecture.
Let's see. Mean Street Mopar says, Professor P, the W2 heads I'm going to use are push rod oiling. I want to know if I tube the block like you did. Can you drill the tube to allow for push rod oiling?
Yeah, you can, but at that point, I would just go get just push the lifter bores at that point. Because you can drill a hole in the tube, but because you're going to be drilling at such an extreme angle, I've already tried this. You drill the hole too damn big, and you defeat the whole purpose of doing
tubing
this.
of tubing the block.
Yeah, I've tried a 40 thousandths hole, and because it's at such an angle, and you're drilling it in, it wants to walk, and then it breaks. And then by the time you get it through, you've torn this big ass hole in it, so you really defeated the purpose. So at that point, I would just get them tubed. But here's the thing, though: on some of those, if they have push rod oiling, you can do spray bars in that head, and you've got a point in the back. I mean, I've done that before too. Just put a spray bar on there right at the top and spray it down. It'd be just fine.
So, okay, here's what I know. Buicks have this same problem too. They reflect to the same issue where it's like shaft mounted rockers, right? But in 1970, they went to oil through the push rod. I don't know when Mopar did. I'm sure they probably did like in the 70s. Just for longevity purpose, I think. But you can pressurize that shaft and push it backwards if you want, right?
Yeah.
Could you not?
What's that? I'm sorry, I'm reading.
You could pressurize that shaft and push it backwards, couldn't you?
Yeah. Oh yeah, you could absolutely. The problem is getting the oil to that though. So because putting it into the side of the shaft, we thought about that, but then the shaft's too close to the valve cover. So like you would have to get like a tube that sticks out through the valve cover, seal it, and then push it into the tube, into the shaft that way. We've tried a few different ways to do that. Or on some of the
all you need is literally like that copper tubing that you use for the oil pressure line. It just has to lubricate some up there, right? And then once it fills that void up, it's going to be pressurized, pushing it out everywhere anyway. But I don't see why you couldn't do that. Is it just hard? I don't know how a Mopar is set up to where is the push rod shaft all the way out to the edge of the rocker arm and there's no way to get on the ends?
No. As soon as it goes to there's clamps on the end, right? Where there's two bolts on the end, but then there's not much room. It sticks out about, a 1/16 of an inch. And then there's the valve cover right there. So there's not much room. I mean, you could drill and tap it and put something in there and stick it out, but then it's literally in the valve cover. The valve cover's hitting it then at that point. So then it's like the only way to do it is to make it extend through the valve cover, or you could come, and there's really, you could actually put it into like say one of the bolts at that point if it's a single shaft. But see on his, if it's a push rod oiling, it's probably individual pedestal done. It's a pedestal style. It might not be a shaft style all the way across because some of those Econos had a they would bolt down like a Magnum style, but it depends on which one he's got.
I just wonder. I think you guys would all laugh because, like the Buick world, we literally have rock arms that hang out in space, right? Like there's nothing holding the end of the shaft. They're literally just hanging out in space there, and you can stick stuff in the end of the shaft, no problem, because it's like probably an inch from the edge of the the valve cover.
Well, I'm gonna have to jump ahead here, man, because we're about 20 minutes behind.
Yeah.
We're way back here. So, see here, that's 10 minutes back. So here, let's see. Sorry, I'm just trying to just get ahead here.
Okay, well, while you're doing that, Buick Smith at 722 says, Dallas, I'm going to cut the exhaust ports off of a set of Buick 350 heads soon. TA's 215 heads leave about 7/16, a half an inch of a port. Do you think I should go shorter, flush with the head? You need to talk to KS Skyhawk because he's doing the same exact thing right now. But what I would do is the heads that I've seen at the Buick Nationals, and if I go again this year, I'll get a picture of them. They just cut them flush up against the head and then bolt a port plate on the head, through the head, and they countersink the bolts and then put thread sealant on them and just literally screw them right to the head. And then I don't think there was even epoxy. Was there epoxy on the exhaust side of like the Pro Stock high port chain?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm reading these things. I thought you were talking to Buick Smith. I'm sorry.
All right. No,
I'm sorry. Oh, on these ones right here, the W2s. Which head are we talking about? I'm sorry, man.
Don't worry about it. We'll just catch up.
Okay. Levi's Backyard says that this is kind of caught up a little bit more. Sorry. He said he really thought about selling his Laguna and trying the Nitro Chaos thing, but I don't have enough folks willing to go to the track with me. Dude, I'm telling you, man, that whole Nitro thing, I've seen what needs to be done in between rounds. It's difficult.
Too much work.
It's too much work. It's too expensive. In fact, I would say even running a nitrous car is a little bit too much work for me. And now I want to have something that's, supercharged, or actually just even supercharged. That way I don't have to do anything. I just get there, I run it, I put E85 in it and call it good. That's, I did, my goal with the Cookie Monster was to be in the 550s with it, and I accomplished that. I'm on a 558. Great. I'm good. With a small block Mopar and a factory block, everything I set out to do, I did. So, yeah. I'm going back to see if there's any other tech, but I'm kind of going through. Oh, Mr. Andrew Nelson just popped in. Good to see you.
From Team Nivlac 57. Yeah, these guys are killing it.
Yeah. He wants to know exactly how much meat is on the top of the exhaust port when the sawzalling is done. I'll get with you perhaps through your channel. We can go from there. Yeah, I can tell you that on the Slant 6, there was about less than 75 thousandths at the very top where the flat spot is, and there's water all around it. So there's steel, water, port, and that port was only 75 thousandths really away from water. So there's really nowhere to go on those. Levi says he's a sucker for work, LOA, but the next goal is to go $499 in Laguna. After that, it is time for another car or a complete Laguna overhaul. You'll be at that goal probably for another 2 or 3 years.
Dude, I'm telling you, man. I noticed something when we were at No Name Nationals is when you put John Wilburn's girlfriend in there in the passenger seat and the car picked up like a bunch. That's telling me that engine needs loaded more, man. You need to do 373 gear or something.
Yeah.
Yep.
I agree with that. Turbos want to be loaded. And same with nitrous. Nitrous is all about torque. So that's why I put 410 gears. My first gear is a 108 and with a 410. I don't have a low ratio gear. And that thing just wants to keep going. There's not room for improvement.
I,
Have you
I was
seen what they're-
asking, did you ever see any of the like the old 70s pro stock heads where they had the port plates on
Oh yeah, uh-huh.
them? When they put the port plates on, they just milled the surface flat and then just put the 1/4 inch plate on and bolted it on. There was no epoxy.
That's right.
The holes that they drilled through just had thread sealant on them because they all went into water jackets.
Yep.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah. We actually had someone when I was over at Crowder. We had some of those old pro stock stuff because they're really heavy into that. They used to make custom rocker shafts for those things. So I got to look at all the one thing, actually, I think I've told you this. We had a big block Chevrolet head, but it was a Buick head on a big block Chevrolet, and then a Buick head that was on a pro stock head.
So that was the big ticket in the 80s and the early 90s was to take the Stage 2 V6 Buick head and put it on a Chevrolet or an Oldsmobile and it was Buick headed Chevrolet.
Yeah, but this was a V8 version of that head.
Yeah. It was on a Chevrolet small block and big block. But so I don't know if you've ever seen the port. That's probably what everybody uses now, right? Is how they're getting all these amazing numbers is some derivative of the Stage 2 V6 Buick. But did you ever see the heads on those things where it's got like the ports are at an angle like this?
Yeah.
Right. And what happens is when you put the port at an angle, it allows you to dimensionally slide past the pushrod pinch. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they make this big, weird, sharp angle into the head, and it literally is the same port. If you think about it, you just need to make sure the intake is in line with that.
Yeah.
That like the Buick V6, the Stage 2 Buick V6 stuff used to be 420 CFM, and that's amazing numbers even to this day. That's what they're getting out of like ported LS3s and Gen 3 Hemi and Coyotes and stuff.
So Levi's saying that he has 389s at the house where his brother bought. Probably try that since it's free. After 499, the car is going to be dangerous in my opinion. It was never meant to go that fast. Look, I'm telling you, man,
where's
you have a car like
run out at?
What's that?
His cage is going to run out before that 499.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. Unless you have a car like Dallas's car is meant for that kind of mile an hour and that kind of speed. I'm telling you, once I started getting into the 130 miles an hour in a car that's built like a brick, like my car, it gets a little sketchy. I mean, I've done a lot of work on suspension. The car goes dead straight now, but even then, you can feel the front of the car hunting just from the wind because there's the aerodynamics are out there. But in Dallas's car, the faster you go, the better it gets.
Yeah, and that was done from the factory, so I just got lucky. But see, your Laguna S3 would have been like one of the first cars that was the case, besides the winged Hemi cars.
Except for the front end, but the front end doesn't have, because he's got a big front end on that thing, right?
He's got the Laguna S3, which is the NASCAR front end on that car. Now, I don't know how good that car aerodynamics was on it. I mean, it's got to be better than the regular Malibu, but I don't know how much better.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm with you on this though too. Is my car's got so much factory stuff on it too. Literally, the only thing out of my car is the rear seats and then the carpet. Other than that, it's literally the factory dash and everything's in there. It's still got the the door panels and the window cranks and all the cranks are in there. It's still got real glass in it, and even the wing windows are still in there, man. Yeah, but I'm going to tell you, I think before you even get to that 499, you're going to find that once you get into the, I would say 520s is where it starts to get like, wow, I'm going really fast in this old car. Like you're going to start to notice that even at 5. I mean, when I went 558 in that car, that was like, okay, yeah, this was noticeable. I mean, I've been much faster in different cars, but they were cars that were more aerodynamic, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. Wow.
Okay. Have we locked up?
Yeah, we stopped. I'm going to go back here and just see if there's anything we missed, because I skipped over a lot just because, man, we were so far behind.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I did see where let's see, the guys at SSR Performance says I rather it not even change. I think the fiberglass change of the rules will hurt the class more than help. And
Yeah,
I think it would too, honestly.
I agree. Yeah, I would 100% agree with that.
Let's see.
I'm just going back here real quick, see if I missed anything. Sorry, but we had to get back up to because we're going over things we'd already talked about, and they were people put up. People were still putting up questions on it, but they were 20 minutes late.
Well, Fabrice Mind repeats saying, wondering what an S3 Laguna can do. Go watch the interview with Dale Jr. did with Waddell Wilson. And now it's got me wondering. I want to go watch that because all through the summer, I was watching all the old classic NASCAR races. Every single one of them is on freaking on YouTube.
So it's an S3 Laguna. Is that what it is? Yeah. That's his car?
Yeah, S3 Laguna.
S3. Okay, I'm putting this in my thing here so that way I can look at it. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, now I know what that thing looks like. That's that's right around the time of the Chrysler Cordoba. That's what it really. If I looked at a Laguna, it looks like a Cordoba. Okay. Oh, Kesconhawk has a front air dime and the factory air rear spoiler on the trunk. The fastest it goes, the more the car gets planted. The W wipers come on at 105. It's safer. Don't need to look at the speedo. Wow.
I bet that little Skyhawk would fly.
I'm with Andrew 100%. That's exactly what I said. 520 is a toggle point where the time and the cost of unfunness goes to a different level. 100%. And that's the reason why I said that number, because that literally is the point where you're just kind of like, wow. And if Levi's going to get to that point, he's going to find out monetarily how hard it gets to that 499 number.
I'm going backwards, guys. I'm not even going to fight with it anymore. I'm already tired. I'm going backwards. I'm going to slow down and I'm going to drive my junk around. Well, maybe not drive it around, but I'm going to have something that's not going to tear me up financially, and it's going to be fun as hell. And it's going to be fun for me more than anyone else. And I care zero about the wins. I want to see the thumbs up at the racetracks and the kids standing on the fence line when the car leaves, because that's what it's all about.
I'm all about the drag and drives. I mean, that's so much more fun for me than just going to an event, pulling a car in a trailer, pulling it off, doing that. I like driving the cars. And I realized that after I started getting the 4-door cars, they're so much more fun to drive. And that's actually what this car is going to do right here. And that's the Cookie Monster is eventually going to have a drag and drive type of engine in it. It's going to be an 850 car. This car is going to be a slant 6 with factory parts on it. And how fast can I go with factory style turbos? No aftermarket shit. Let's just see if I can run, a Pontiac turbo slant 6 and just see what I could do with that kind of stuff. And I'm going to have fun with it, because there was more people looking at my slant 6 at Sick Week or Six Smokies than there was ever at all the other cars. So I think if I showed up with that, with a big, hater pipe sticking straight up with a flapper valve and a carburetor sticking out of the hood, just because that's where the turbo's at, I think that would be a lot more fun for myself.
Let's see. So Dylan Levi saying, Andrew, that's why I'm thinking of front engine dragster or old bracket dragster. I would never go the dragster route. I was never a dragster guy. If I was going to do anything like that, it would probably be an altered.
Mm-hmm.
I'd do like an altered, because if you listen to me for just a second, okay, I'll throw some logic at you here. An altered is a short wheelbase dragster, essentially, right? With a body on it. You can easily get the engine and transmission in and out of that sucker in a couple hours. You're done, right? But here's the benefits that no one really thinks about. The altered is so light and so short that you can literally have a single axle trailer that you build at home in your driveway, right? And pull it with an S10 pickup truck and go to the track, right? If you leave most of the stuff at home, there's no point in having a big diesel truck and a 26-foot enclosed and get crappy gas mileage. I like the idea of it going backwards, where it's like simple, where you just show up at the track, and when you lose, crack open the cooler, and there's a cold one in there for you, and then you don't even have
Always
to
a winner.
Huh?
You're always a winner when this happens, right?
Yeah, man.
Right.
Like where I'm just saying that it's when you stop taking racing so serious and you start looking at the things that outweigh, what are you trying to do? And I think the Altered has the best game out of all of them because you can have that small trailer, the small tow rig, get decent mileage going to and from the track, meaning you can go to a lot more tracks. And racing isn't such a big financial outing for you.
And if you build the engine for E85 and it's only $2 a gallon.
Yep. And then you got something that's pretty hairy. It's a lot of fun, and it'll probably live an entire season, if not more. Don't even think power adder, just think lightweight, good horsepower. That's right. Because if you think about it, like there's a lot of things that people don't understand about, especially like a dragster. Okay. If you have a dragster, they normally weigh around, get this, 1,600 to 2,000 pounds.
Yep.
Okay. Or less. It depends who built it. But if you can get them down to like 1,600 pounds, you only need to make about 400 horsepower to be the fastest thing in the entire area.
That's pretty easy. That's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So very attainable on the regular guy's budget.
Yeah. We got one of our listeners here, Danny Boyd, saying that he's listening while going inside the control console of a Maytag dryer. Well, thanks for listening, man, while you're at work.
Is that the first Wednesday night tech talk inside of a Maytag dryer?
That's right. Boom. There it is. That's right.
Yeah. KS Skyhawk is saying, and I'm going to bring this up because I've got this question a couple of times in like videos even. So he's saying, what's the dimple or the nub near the plug in the combustion chamber for? And he's messing with these Buick 350 heads, so I know exactly what he's talking about. It's got a little bump right in there next to the right next to the spark plug hole. Okay. When I built the EZ302, people were telling me to cut the chamber, cut all the shit out of the chamber, and not notch the piston. And when I started doing some research on it, I realized that whatever you got in the chamber, like the Buick 350 has something similar to what a Chevrolet small block does when it's a Vortec head or an early, what do they call those? What is it? Swirl ports? The 192s? Is that what they were? The swirl ports? Okay. Those bumps in there actually promote swirl and fuel distribution is what that is for. And I've had a lot of guys say, take that out. But I seriously think if you remove that, the efficiency of the cylinder head will plummet, right? Yeah. And you'll have detonation so bad. I really think that engineering behind that's fairly solid.
Yeah. And Andrew Nelson, once again, says the exact same thing that me and you designed this whole Triple Crown class for. 10.5 quarter or 6.7 eighth is the best bang for the buck. And that's exactly what eventually we think that the Triple Crown cars will get into the sixes at some point, and they're going to kind of stagnate right around that number. And we were thinking that's kind of like the best bang for your buck. And I agree with him.
Just right based on the cubic inch and the suspension limitations they had on them, I think that's where they're going to fall at.
Yeah. And Bobby Fazell says that having a car that you can drive anywhere, run low sixes at the track is the best thing in the world. And I agree with that, man. That car, I would run 650, 640s in Southern California up on top of the hill, and I could drive that car anywhere I wanted to go. And it was amazing. I would take it down to the Cruise in El Cajon Grand car show. It was fun. And I missed that.
And see, Hot Rod Guy Garage Russell saying the same thing. Drivability and fun goes way further than fast and a trailer.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. That's kind of where I'm at now, is because I'm just looking at different avenues. You know, I don't want to be in here working on something for 2 weeks to go drive it for 1 weekend. You know, for some people that's what they want to do. You know, maybe if I was still doing a lot more match racing, but I'm just not. That type of racing is just not out here. So, that would be fun to do again. But now it's kind of like, well, I go to the track. What am I doing? Am I just burning numbers, burning money just to put a number on the board? So that's why I'm going to slow down and try to, what can I do and think outside the box to make something go fast that shouldn't go fast.
So Andrew Nelson says down at 758, he says, I have 3 roadsters, way better than a dragster, right? And then he says below that, street roadster is more fun than an altered. You can do more with less help, right? Like, because it's almost like a street car. You just start and go. Yeah. And what did I say? Maybe 2 or 3 shows ago, I said, man, I would build myself a T bucket with a 300 Buick in it, and a 204R overdrive or a T5 5-speed, and then just have fun with it, right? And not did I just say that the next day, there's a home built T bucket in Lebanon, Tennessee. It's got a V6 Buick in it with a turbo 350 transmission, but it was $24,900. But I was like, man, did this thing just hear me? Probably did.
Do you remember in SoCal there was a guy named John Hildebrand? Remember him? He was the Ford guy who drove the green, like a teal-looking Ford A body, and he had the Ford Y block in there.
Yeah, Y block. Yeah, he had the Mummer motors in it, right?
Yep, exactly. That car was like, I would like to have something like that, but like a Dodge, Dodge Brothers, maybe 30s, late, something like that car. That would have a hopped up engine in it, because that would be fun too. You know what I mean? That would be, I'd be fun with that. So, and his car was pretty fast, and he drove that thing everywhere.
Let's see. Levi's Backyard Performance says, I'm a racer at heart. I love having fun, but I can't have fun at a test and tune. I like side-by-side racing, even if no money is involved.
I agree.
Tell me, man, that's why we did that match race thing. It was so much fun.
It was so much fun. And the thing is, too, is the hype on it. And then, at that time, there was really no racing like that around. So the fans came out in droves. And it's one thing to like be out there racing, against someone and having the heads up. But when basically everything's filled up, there is no more parking. All the tiers, because there was like little tiers of rows of motorhomes. And then this whole side is cars all the way down. And you're looking down the track, and there's just heads on the glass, just all the way down on both sides. It was fun, man. It was like, and you could hear the people cheering for you inside the car. And then you come back, and then people came over afterwards. They're like, man, that was so awesome. It was such a close race. And it was fun.
Levi's Backyard Performance says, I like the cruise idea for Triple Crown.
I do too. I do too. That was one of the rules when me and Dallas were first talking about this thing. I was telling him, man, we should have it to where you had to drive to Lambert's. But the thing is, though, is that not everybody can show up on Thursday for that. And that's the whole reason why we kind of cut that out, was for that.
Well, why don't we add it in like part of grading criteria, right? Okay. Like it's just a +1 in your category, right? You know what I mean? For like, there should be maybe that's what we should do, is come up with the way we should grade it for who wins I don't know.
No, that gets too complicated. Instead of doing the points thing, I think if there was a part where they had to drive the car, and they pick a point, they got to take a picture of the car at a point, and they got to drive back sometime on Friday. If we were going to do that, that would be the easiest thing to do.
If Fabrice Mod Repeat says, the match race thing can work. However, it needs a lot of upfront promotion and a fairly sizable purse to catch any traction. Okay. One, I know for a fact you don't need a purse.
Nope, no purse at all.
The easy button with match race is also its ultimate downfall. Okay, it's the same thing that it's the double-sided coin, and both of them, it's either great or tanks. Okay. Yep. Where you were doing, let's see, I set up match races in Iowa. I did the Match Race Madness in Iowa, and Shane and I used to race in a match race series on the West Coast called Match Race Madness. And the The biggest problem was if you couldn't get people to put skin in the game, you weren't guaranteed they were going to show up.
Yep.
Right? They would talk all the smack online, make you look like a fucking douchebag. Like you couldn't win a wet paper bag contest.
That's right.
And then not show up.
Exactly.
And the hardest thing to do was not after you had to find somebody else to match race, not go home and keyboard warrior douchebag this guy.
It's
right?
true.
Like, you wanted to go, where the fuck? You were running your fucking mouth and you weren't even at the track, dude. You didn't even call me to say you're not coming. I mean, how cowardly is that?
I got my shit together. I prepared, and then I had to go and put my name and number on a board, and hopefully somebody showed up at the event that didn't have a race that would come close, you know?
And what would generally happen is you'd have to give up 1 or 2 tenths just to run somebody.
Yeah.
Right? And then it's like, God, I'm going to take an ass beating of the century here because I'm not holding 1 or 2 tenths. I had everything I had in this sucker just to run with this guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
the fun match races were there was actually 2 of them now that were really fun. Now I used to race this guy named Greg Curtis all the time, and man, our cars were dead even, literally dead even. Came down to reaction time. But the most fun I ever had was these Hondas that I would race because they were technically faster than me, but I was deadly on the tree and I was gone. And it was whether they could hunt me down or not miss a gear. And it literally came back. I'm doing 110 miles an hour, I think, in the 8th mile at that point. They're doing like 120, or 115 because they would back end the track. They were really quarter mile cars. But you want to talk about some of the best racing because it's like, can I make it? Can I make it? And I would get them, and it was awesome, man. And
that's when you would have when the cars would be paired up and they were within a tenth of each other. That's the best match racing, man. When they're legit within a tenth of each other.
Yes.
And that was the most fun I had is when you had to race somebody that you were evenly paired against, and for me to race Shane, I was actually reaching because my car did not run. I think you were running 620s.
Yeah.
And I was running 630s or 640s.
Yeah. I was running 627s consistently. One time I popped out a 625, but it was really 627s consistently at that time.
And so the thing is he was running a trans brake and I was doing it all foot brake, right? Like, God, that's everything on a freaking heads up race is giving up so much on the tree. And I would literally have to guess the bull, right? And that's where I came up with the 1,000, 2,000 letter E, right? And it usually my car had so much rollout and it reacted so slowly because it was foot brake. I had plenty of room in there to do that. But that's kind of what was funny was when we pulled that on the old on the 28-10-5 class at No Name Nationals 24, dude. I still John Wilburn's freaking intro. Every week I'd see that just freaking putting the tree on, man.
That was awesome. I remember racing that Instigator. I remember I just let go of the button, just like I counted 1, 1,002, go, fuck you, And I was out. I remember the car's launching. And I see the car pulling up, and as I see the light go green on my side, and I was like, oh, he's screwed because my rear bumper had already cleared his front bumper before he even left.
Oh man,
classic. One more thing here. Happy Thanksgiving to all. Got to go put some tile in the walls in the bathroom remodel. It's keeping me away from tweaking on my Buick. Well, thanks for stopping by. Have a good, happy holidays or happy Thanksgiving, whatever you celebrate. Thanks for showing up. Oh, Andrew saying the Street Rodder is similar to an altered, but the driver is on the left side of the chassis.
Yeah, not center steer.
Yeah.
Yep. And, I wouldn't mind having a street roadster or something like that, but I don't know what I'm going to do anymore. I think right now I need to recoup and figure out what I got, where I stand, and how much time I got left on this earth and what I feel I need to get accomplished before that happens, before I no longer have any time left.
Well,
yeah.
I look at it this way, man. I'm 50, right? And how it takes 3 or 4 years to build a car nowadays financially that you want to go really fast in. I just don't want to do that anymore. I'd rather spend a year, build something, have fun with it, and move on. And this is exactly right here. Bobby Fizzell saying drag and drive is the best thing in racing today, and I personally agree with him. I've been driving the Galaxy for a daily for the last 2 weeks and having more fun with it than in the 8 years I've track raced the car. And I agree with him. And that's the reason why I love those things so much, is because it's literally like a big long drag race with your buddies. It's like, like back when you were younger, every Friday night you and your buddies would all go down to the spot where you would all meet up, and then you would go to wherever you're going to drag race. It's that for a whole week. And that's really what it is. It's kind of like you driving on a Friday night with your buddies, and then just drag racing, street racing, for fun. It's just awesome.
So, okay, Dylan Levi says down here, at 810, I like match racing in theory, but it takes way more to make that the attraction to the track. Okay, I'll tell you that's because you've never had a good match race.
Exactly.
And so Shane and I, like, we've seen how it's done. All right. And then when I did the one in Iowa, I think I probably took it to the next level because I was smart about it. But so what used to happen in the West Coast series when we were match racing was you'd pick a car that was relatively the same ET as you. All right. And you just had to find somebody else that had the same ET as you. Then you'd call the guy and he would like, all right, no problem. Give me a week. And then he would email you a flyer for your match race. Okay. And then you would plaster this sucker all over Facebook. And well, back then, I think Facebook and Instagram might have been the only Twitter, might have been the only ones really out there. And we would just plaster this shit everywhere. You go to car shows, you'd hand out your flyers, you print it out at home, and it was pretty cool. And you would talk it up they had a Facebook page, Match Race Madness, and you just put your picture up there and you'd be like, I'm running this sucker and he's a freaking sandbagging asshole, and whatever you wanted to put on there and get it kind of riled up. When I did it in Iowa, it was different. That track is only open like 6 months of the year. The rest of the 6 months you're like digging snow, and it was like really like right next to Minneapolis, St. Paul. So I waited to the dead of winter and I started pairing these match races and then sending out the flyers. And all these people had cabin fever, and they were like literally chomping at the bit to do anything but sit inside. And it just went bananas. I mean, I released that thing like January the 1st of 2019, maybe 2018. I don't remember. I think I had 35 match races in 24 hours. I didn't sleep. My phone did not stop ringing.
Mm-hmm.
And those people were chomping at the bit to get set up. And there was people making drives from Texas all the way to freaking Iowa and Kentucky to Iowa. And it was just nuts, man.
I think also too has to do with the age group, because the age group that we were in at that time in 2010 to 2019, in that range, most of the people our age were on Facebook. And so you would get a flyer. Steve would make a flyer and you'd send them 2 cars and they would say match race, and they would whatever. And then it was up to you to talk it up. You would, like when me and Dallas were doing this, we actually went to a car show, talked it up. We would send salvos to each other on Facebook. I would even text them, one coming across the bow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would talk some shit, on Facebook, just to fun it up. And then people were like, man, these guys are really serious about this stuff. And then they would come out and it was fun.
That's what was cool. Like there would be people that I waited for 2 months for this match race. And you're like, wow, hey, I feel really good. Maybe I'm doing something.
And I think what too is that your car becomes a character. And this is one thing I did notice, that your car becomes a character. And there was this, I'll never forget, there was this little girl, and she didn't like my car because she liked the color of my car. And her dad, they lived in Ramona. And whenever there was a match race, she would come out there and she would look for the car. She would take a picture of sitting in the car. And every year she would, every race, she would come out there and she would cheer on your car, because it was kind of like that. And it was fun because they would come out and see the exact same car. In fact, there was a kid who came over and he wanted to see the car he wanted to know where your car was, right? This is in 2016. I said, he's parked right over there. His name's Dallas. And he was like, man, that car's so awesome because, they love, it's kind of like Monster Truck, it's the style, it's the whole build
and you
up.
put an action shot on the poster,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
So it's got like doing a wheelie or a burnout or something on the poster.
Yeah, it was good. And Andrew always says the greatest things here because this is true. This is exactly what I say too. We love drag and drives, and we've been running faster classes lately. But the slower cars we ran back in 2011, 2014 were way more fun. And I think I had so much more fun drag racing when my car was like in the 620s, 630s with a 3-speed and it would pull a wheelie and stuff. It still runs a 620, but with a glide, it's so boring. Literally, the whole reason I'm taking this engine out is I'm probably good. I am going to put a Gen 3 Hemi in it, but I was like, I'm going to put a supercharged Gen 3. I really just want to put a tunnel ram Gen 3 Hemi in it. I want to make 700 to 800 horsepower in it. And I want to put a 3-speed in it. And I want to go back to hitting wheelies again and having fun just driving the car. You know what I mean? Like, and that way I could, if it's on E85, I could drive it anywhere I want to go.
Yeah. Well, and then, Buick Smith.
Yeah, is this it right here?
No, the one below it says, Shane, on average, how much does it cost through comp to make a custom flat tappet cam?
I have no earthly idea. Unfortunately, I don't know prices. I don't know. But if you call in right now, you're still on that discount. So call up Alex. So now they're closed down until Monday. Check it out Monday, but I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
The rule of thumb for it doesn't matter if it's comp or whoever. It used to be the rule of thumb was $300 to $500. So I'm sure it's going to be somewhere close to that. Now this was just the price that used to be. This was prior COVID, so it's probably more like, I would say $400 to $600 now or more.
Wow.
Well, it is just the cost of the materials has gone up almost double, right?
Camcorders.
So,
and that's the whole thing with these DLC coated lifters, though, is to get that cost down, so that way you don't have to have so many camcorders on the shelf anymore. It's just going to be an induction hardened deal, and they could just be a bill cam. And it can be whatever you want then at that point.
So Racer Ray here says that advertising your match race early, kind of like early call outs. Yeah, but I was doing it when like I said, when I was doing it in Iowa, I was match racing. I was setting up match races for the track in Iowa, and generally you're looking at like nobody's going to tow more than like 200 miles generally to come to an event, right? So you're just trying to set people up, and up there they were all having cabin fever, and it was easy to throw it out there in January. You got a match race, and the damn thing isn't happening until July, But it got everybody into it. They were all wanting to see it, and it worked out great. We packed the place, but if you really want to get something going, we could technically do something for No Name Nationals. And if you guys wanted to do like a match race class and you find somebody that's relatively close.
No, don't even do that. Don't do that. How about this? What they'll do is they'll call or contact me or you or the both of us, and they will tell us their time. And then we will set up the match races. So that way they're done on time. So as that way, if you don't have anyone, you don't know anyone, just call in. Tell us, hey, I want to do the match race. Give us your car with the time you think you're going to do. And then as people come in, we'll start pairing you up.
Well, and then we can make a flyer and get the thing going for No Name Nationals. And we can pass around. You can put it in your videos, and that way you get the whole thing going, because there's nothing more fun than having your own match race fly. I'm telling you, I was so proud that I came home on leave. My dad had that hanging out in his garage, right? Like he had it blown up like 20 by 34 or something, right? Like hanging in his garage. And I'm like, shit, Dad, I don't even have one like that. Right? But he was like, oh, it just looks so cool, man. Whoever's doing this is really doing a good job. And I'm like, oh, right.
That's something that we could think about, because if we did that on a Saturday, so if we did the match racing on Saturday at some point, I know it's always packed day, but that we can get some asses in the seats. We could actually, go out there.
Yeah, but I think here's the problem you're going to have. Okay, if you do it on Saturday, someone's going to break on Friday, and that match race just ain't going to happen because it's the last day. The tongue's hanging out on the car, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you were to really do the match races,
Do it Friday.
I don't know if it would be
Friday night.
ideal, but because Friday's got the bracket crammed in it, right?
Oh, so Saturday's the day.
I don't know how you would do that. I'm kind of wondering about what if we just did it all like Saturday after the No Name Nationals, whoever left, that kind of thing. I don't know.
Do it Saturday night because we just wanted the whole thing about the No Name Nationals. We got to get some more butts in the seats, like actual spectators.
I agree with that, and that's where I was saying that the other night was like on John's live. I was like, man, I really wish the rule was you had to have 500 per year to do this.
Oh yeah, we've said this to each other many times. Like
yeah,
you're 500, the next year you got to have another 500.
Right, and the reason why I say that is because if you don't realize the way the No Name Nationals really works is like, yeah, you're a YouTuber, but you're supposed to promote your YouTube brand and get the ball rolling to put some butts in the seats so way the event pays for itself. And it's a self-fulfilling prophecy is what it is. And people come and go. But unfortunately, it doesn't seem like the channels grow at the same rate that the people come and go. Right. And so that's where you see it kind of goes down.
Yeah. Folks love the character cars. In fact, I will tell you that I didn't name my car the Cookie Monster. I'm only going to say his first name, but his first name is Lance. He lived right around the corner from me when I was in Poway in the early 2000s, and that's where this car got its name. We used to do burnouts in front of each other's house to call each other out on Friday night or Saturday night, like at 2 a.m. We did that for fun. He would see me at a bunch of races, and I was winning a lot, and he used to call it the Cookie Monster because it's blue, obviously, and I was beating a lot of people and taking their money. So and then the car was the Cookie Monster over there. So it was, and I had a little Cookie Monster, like a little stuffed animal I used to put in the front seat. So yes, I agree with you. Character cars are the way to go. And I've never named one of my cars. Someone else has named all of them for me. So that's the reason why my truck doesn't have a name. So.
First things first here. Okay. I was going to read this one off, but now I'm going to read this one. I'm going to have to call out the Cookie Monster. I got a few tenths behind you, but I got a year of testing to do it.
Who's this? Where?
Dylan Levi.
Oh, well, Cookie Monster's, the engine's coming out. I'm actually pulling it out this weekend. So you're
not happening, dude.
sorry, buddy. You're about a year late. Yeah, that'd be great. But the engine's coming out this weekend. So
Bigfoot Mark
over there.
Bigfoot Mark says Friday during test passes, make lists of cars' times so guys can see who is close to them in times, and then you can pair them up. Well, that might be the thing to do.
Well, I have a whiteboard. I'll just bring a whiteboard over. After you make a pass, come over, put your name and a whiteboard, and then or just hand me your ticket with your name on it, and I'll start pairing people up. I'll just put it on the board and then just start pairing up things, and that way we can do it right at the track. Yeah. Sorry, Dylan. The car is going. My goal in the car was to run in the 550s. I did that. I went a 558 in it, so I'm good. So yeah, that's engine's coming out. And I promise you, if I put in the engine that I want to put in this thing that I've been telling Dallas about, I promise you don't want any part of that one.
All right. So Angel Nelson, a little bit further down, says, I arrived late where the Triple Crown rules posted. No, I didn't write them. I've been sick all week. I was sick from last Thursday all the way until pretty much yesterday. I didn't write the rules. Now I'm busy playing Juggle My Children for the holidays thing. That I guess apparently is the way it is. Yeah. But no, I have not written and or posted any of the rules for Triple Crown.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be any different than what we told you guys.
Yeah. So Mean Street's going to name his diplomat Fools Aaron. That's awesome, dude. Levi was saying that the Laguna was named Dixie Twister or Peachy, but I didn't name it because it wasn't supposed to be a race car. They're never supposed to be a race car. They just happens. Oh,
That's exactly the downfall of it. He's right. If you pair him at the track, nobody gets to see the flyer. No one cares about what happened in between time.
yeah. Well, I got it, but here's the thing, though: is if you're doing it on Saturday, just you pointed out something very, very true. Cars are going to break, by Saturday.
Yeah, there's 6 one way, half dozen another, right?
I'm all about the videos. I'm all about the shit talking. I'm all about the having fun. I'm all about doing that stuff.
I like the flyers. I just hate when the flyers, like, say you got 36 guaranteed match races and 12 of them show up.
It's true,
right? And what it is like, if you think about it, you got 36 pairings, so that's 2 people, right? So it's like 72 people involved. You still get your 36 pairings, but only half of those people show, right? So you still have 36 pairings, but there's no other person to run in the other lane.
Yeah, but this is also true. This is kind of to my point, is that we can still do call outs, but the pairing will be for the extra races. I agree. For people who couldn't find a pairing, or like they're like, oh, there's really this
That's
is
how the whole thing is supposed to work. Is like, you pick, like, say 10, 15 of them at the beginning. You make the flyers, you pass them around, the stuff everybody wants to see, and then at the track, if you just jump into it, you get paired up right there, and you're part of the show. But there is no flyer, being posted around.
Yeah, I'm gonna step back a minute and say something that you were saying earlier. I'm a firm believer that if you were, and I even said this to John and you many times, is that if you had 500, you need to have another 500. This way you keep putting skin in the game, because I've seen some people, they get to the 500 and then they literally stop.
They're the 501 team, right?
Yes.
And that's what I don't like, is the 501 team, where you're just like, now I can languish and sit on my laurels and like do nothing. And so that's where I think, I think it should increase each year.
Yeah. I told him, I was like, what if it doubled each year? So like you did 500, then next year had to be 1,000.
It's not my show, it's John's show. And he's the one that makes those decisions. So, I mean, I'm not busting him in balls or nothing, I'm just saying, I think that's where, like you said, it forces you to put some skin in the game, and then you continue bettering yourself, right?
Yeah.
Makes it worthwhile, and it's difficult.
And also, too, I'm not sure where everybody lands in this whole YouTube thing. I don't care to be a YouTube person. I never want to be. I don't want to have fame. I don't want to have any of that crap. That's just not my type of person. I'm just not into that. I do it simply just to show people what I'm building and to document my builds. That is it. 100%. That's all I do it for. And maybe throw some information out there too.
Mine is, I think, not so much like, I guess you could say like legacy, but it's not really legacy, because I just thought that there was huge disparity. That when I was a kid, how I got to screw around with Quadrajet carburetors was there used to be magazine articles about it, right? And there isn't none now. You can probably find some online, but the kids today, they don't understand magazines. They don't get the magazine thing, right? They look online. If it isn't online and it isn't talking back to them, they don't care. They're moving on. Yeah. And so I don't know. I just wanted to put it up there and so people could see how stuff was done. And I just do what I can, do what I do. I mean, I don't know if I made 500 the past couple of years. I don't think I have.
Yeah. And the biggest thing that people don't understand is how nice was it when you came home from school or even came home from work and you went to the mailbox and there was a brand new magazine in there and you opened it up and you're just like, yes, I got to do whatever car craft or whatever came in. And it was just so bitching because it was like, you go through and you look at the big articles and then you kind of read the little fine print and it was like 2 weeks of reading. And most of that reading was done in the John, because I still to this day have a magazine rack in the John.
I used to have that up until a couple of years ago. I
still have it.
I loved reading magazines and taking a dump. That's the big one, But I don't know. I don't know how many cars I built in my head just reading those magazines. And I see, my life was a little different than everybody else. I was on a ship pretty much my whole life.
Yeah.
I lived in a drawer, right? My entire belongings were in a drawer. And so I used to wait for those magazine racks to be filled up with new magazines, and I would buy every single one of them. I'd have Hot Rod, I'd have Carcraft, I'd have Hemmings Motor News, I'd have Hemmings Muscle Machines, I'd have Muscle Car and Mopar, and it was like every freaking magazine that came out. If I didn't have it, I bought it. And then what would happen is I would read through it, I would find the articles that I liked, and I would tear the pages out and put them in a folder. And then I would keep those, and I would literally throw the magazine in the trash because I lived in a drawer. It's a fold-out drawer, you know. And when your belongings fit in something this wide by 3 feet long, your whole adult life, that was the game. So I'd read those magazines, I'd find what I liked, I'd tear stuff out, and I'd throw it right in there. Or when I got to be chief petty officer, I would throw them in the John on the chip, but it was like I was the only one to read them. Nobody else knew jack crap about any of it.
Yeah.
So,
Brian brings up a good point here, and I've said this many times too. We all need to hype the event more, me included. We are all the bar band. John has given us a venue, perform, and we need to bring the audience. Yes, but here's the thing: the audience needs something to watch that's a little bit. I will use not the word organized. That's not what I'm trying to say, but more of like, what are they coming to see? Oh, they're going to see a bunch of cars grudge racing that are really not super fast. No. They want to see something that's kind of like organized. Match racing would do that because now you have two cars that are really, really close that are racing, and it's a heads-up race. I think that would put more butts in the seats.
Let's see. Dylan Levi says you'll get a lot of flack for the 500, but 102 subs or two maybe. A lot of people work endlessly at their day jobs and don't want. You know what? If you got time to build a car, you got time to get subs. I mean, come on, dude. And I do remember the first year, and Dylan Levi was the guy that was like literally struggling and panhandling subs all the time. And you were so concerned about it, and you made it with like tons of freaking time to spare. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I think I'm completely opposite of that. I like the 500 mark. It shows that you're at least willing to put the effort in to have a YouTube channel.
Yes.
And that's where YouTube recognizes you at a channel. But I think it should go up by 500 every year. And I think you should put the effort in to do that. If you don't want to go to No Name Nationals that year, don't try to grow by 500. You know, It's just that simple. But
even if John doesn't make it a rule, at least make it a personal goal for yourself to grow at least 500. Because that's what I've been trying to do. My goal was to try to double it each year. I just don't have time for that because right now I should be at 4,000. And I'm not, but I can't. I don't have that kind of energy or time. I've got 3 kids, and I can't put up a video twice a week or even once a week. It's hard, you know. I got things going on. I just can't do that. So I'm just trying to do at least the 500 every year, and that just keeps me honest with it.
So Andrew Nelson said something cool here. We need to get back to Bigfoots and Moparts, I guess. I knew I wouldn't get my Belvedere done last year, so I dug out my truck and did a series of getting it ready and hashtag No Name Nationals each video just to try and promote the event, but have no audience. You know, we all kind of have that same problem. You need to be consistent with it first, and that's where I always like suck at it because I haven't been able to be consistent even with like my own life. If you're consistent with it and you do the hashtag No Name Nationals, you start getting a lot of stuff generated. But I think I'm going to have to take a different approach this year. And then Andrew Nelson here says something right below that.
Yep.
The Triple Crown could be a spectacle and do all the hype you are wanting. And I agree. I 100% agree with that. And I think
that's why we did it.
Yeah, I think that's what the angle I need to take on this year is that I'm literally building a Triple Crown car. How come I'm not like hashtag No Name Nationals, Triple Crown, come run with me kind of stuff on there, right?
Yeah, what's up, sucker? Come get some.
Well, this is what the class is all about. This is how it's going to work. And I'm going to try to get my car together and run in this class. And this is all it takes. And it's basically anybody that has a car. You know, especially if you got a small block car. It's just about anyone. So, Samuel Butler says, "How did you like Knoxville Dragway on Six Smokies?"
Which one was Knoxville? Was that the one? What did it look like? Was it in the valley? Is that the one that was in that valley, the mountain valley? I think that's what it was. That one was amazing.
I don't know. I don't know. You went to Crossville, and then you would have went from Crossville to Knoxville. So it would have been the one right before he did the Dragon.
Oh yes, that was the one I was thinking. Yes, that one was awesome because that one was like in a valley, and at the end of the track, I believe it had this like shutdown. It was like the coolest track because it really reminded me of home. Because in Verona, it was a valley. There's mountains on both sides. It kind of went into a massive valley. This one was kind of in a valley with trees all around it, and it was really cool, and it was fun. Yes,
One that had the concrete bleachers.
Yes, yeah. I remember that. Yeah, because right after that that day we were actually going to go to the hotel and we were going to do the whole Dragon drive. But I was like, you know what? Looking at how long this is, we had 8 checkpoints, and I was like, why don't we do half the Dragon, because the one day was a drive day. By the time we got to Knoxville, we did a 150-mile loop, and then it literally looped right back around to Knoxville, and then we went right over and stayed at our hotel, then came back out, and then we did the Dragon that morning. But then we had brake problems, so it was one of those, glad we did what we did. But Knoxville was probably one of the better tracks that we were at. Music City was not very good at all. Knoxville was awesome. Centerville, that's the one's right next to the freeway, right?
Crossville was next to the
Crossville.
Freeway.
Yeah, Crossville. That's it, Crossville. That one was awesome too. Yeah, there was a lot of them that were really, really fun. I thought all of them were. Music City just was not good.
So Fabrice Mod Repeats says, Shane, sticker op. You need to get what's up, sucker. Get some.
Right. Exactly. Right. That right there. Where's Tony? Gunslinger Graphics. Let's make a T-shirt that says, "What's up, sucker? Get some." There you go. Slant Daily Garage. Come get some, sucker.
Yeah, I'm thinking that this year though, like I do need to start hitting some triple crown videos. That makes me kind of like, no, you know what? Why didn't I think about that earlier?
Yeah, well, because he hasn't even put a number on the board yet. So wait until he puts a number on the board, and I think that's this Friday, right?
I just need to do these rules and then get them over to John. Yeah, and then once I'm done with the rules, then I can stop getting SSR climbing up my butt about not having any rules or Andrew Nelson. But yeah, we're just going to basically make it as it's pretty much what we said it was already going to be. Mm-hmm. So that's it. Simple as that.
Yeah. Keep it simple.
Yeah.
Oh, he's saying that, yeah, he lives between Crossville and Knoxville. They're both considered my home track. Okay, that's awesome. Yeah. Right. No, agreed. Pro tip. People like drama, it gets attention. Agreed. Oh. And that's exactly what me and Dallas did. We would send salvos to each other on Facebook.
Oh, serious, like hurtful stuff.
Yeah.
Right. But you would tell each other, like, hey, dude, I'm gonna I text him on the phone, like, hey man, this is just all for fun, right? So and then just blast them. Yeah. And oh man, people would be like, they'd be up in arms on Facebook.
Yes.
Before you even get to the track.
It would be great too, because I would text him. I was like, hey man, I'm going to send someone right across the bow right now. And he goes, oh yeah, go. I'll send it. So I'd send it over. And then you would have like people who were like Team Dallas, and there was like Team Shane, right? And they would just be ripping on each other. They'd be like defending him. They'd be defending me. It was great. And it would just get them all riled up, and then they would show up. And that was fun.
The showing up was the best part. Was like, dude, I love that all the stuff you guys you were talking on Facebook. And I'm like, that's that. And you would tell them like, oh yeah, that Shane got me fired up. But in reality, it was like, I'm at home drinking a beer and Shane would call me like, hey dude, this, all right. Yeah, whatever, no big deal.
I would do the same thing. I was like, hey man, we haven't talked shit in about a few days. I was like, hey man, I'm having a beer. I was like, yeah, I'm out back. I'm like, yeah, let's do some fun talking. Just, oh yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, so we do it up.
Okay, so
Oh, wait, Fab.
Excuse me, Mr.
Real
Brown,
smart.
about those rules. Yeah, that's he's not even part of this.
Yeah, you're
Okay. He's working on my rear end right now. You ain't got time to badger me about this. Give me that rear end and I'll do a video. All right. Let's see. Bigfoots and Mopar says, when we were out at Sykes and Chris's Chevelle, we had people ask if we were there for No Name Nationals. Maybe if we did a cruise to Sonic or someplace Friday night, too, the community would take more interest. Okay, it's funny that you say that because when we first did the event at Lambert's, right, that was called a flash mob car show, is what that was originally called. Lambert's had no idea we were coming. And we called, I felt sorry for him because we had like 200 people registered. And I called Scotty Lambert, which is the guy that owns the place. And I said, hey, man, there's 200 freaking cars coming your way, like the first night. And we're having a flash mob car show in your parking lot. And he was like, that is so awesome. I'm going to rope off the west side of the parking lot or the east side of the parking lot, whatever he did, right? And I'm like, sweet. And we just want to have all your regular, like, car people show up. And they did. There was something like you probably saw the Little Red Express Chevy or the Little Red Express Dodge truck that was back aft, had big block in it with the stacks. It sounded cool. It looked really neat because it's tub and stuff. But I think there was 3 or 4, maybe 5 locals that brought their cars out there.
Yeah. James is saying here too, fair warning. If I get the party started, nobody take it seriously. No, I agree, man. Look, I don't take anything personally. I actually laugh about it. When I see someone talk shit on Facebook or even on thing, I just laugh at them. Literally laugh at them. Because I'm like, they never said it to me personally, you know what I mean? But it's just funny because it's like, it's just funny, you know?
Dust Devil Garage brings up a good point here. That is why pro wrestling is so popular. Without the drama, it's just guys fake fighting in their underwear.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Oh, right here. This is a good one too. Right here. Yeah. Read this one.
Real drama is okay, such as Cale Yarborough and Bobby and Donnie Allison fought after the 79 Daytona 500. Yeah, that's fine too. That makes it go a lot better usually. Okay, so Buick Smith says, is there a modern auto sensor that looks at airspeed of CFM? Would be good to install and intake runners to see how balanced the CFM per cylinder on a given combination. Thoughts? That's a mass air meter.
I was just going to say it's a mass airflow meter. Exactly. A lot of Fords had those. You could literally get them off of pretty much any Escort.
And they literally only run on one wire. I mean, they have generally 4 wires in them. It's like ground, computer ground, and power, and then 1 signal wire.
That's right. And it's less than 5 volts. Really.
Yeah, it's 5 volts or less, actually, because it works on logic level voltage. So the neat thing, no, not mass air. Mass air runs off 12 volts.
It's 12 volts?
Yeah. It has to trim the voltage down, and each 1/10 of a volt actually is almost like a 1 full ratio.
I remember on my Escort, because it was the OBD1, I was putting resistors on that, and I thought mine was 5 volt.
Yeah. No, they weren't 5 volt. I don't think they're 5 volt. I think it is 12. I think it's one of the only sensors is 12 volts. But either way, it's only got 1 signal wire, right? Yeah. So it'd be easy for you to graph them on a computer if you had a serial cable, and then you just plug, like, let's say 8 cylinders in, and you just read the airflow across them. And it doesn't really matter what size they are anymore. It used to be like, you wanted them relatively close to the same size port, but now, as accurate as those things are, the velocity being really low doesn't matter. Oh, maybe you're right, Shane. Maybe it is 5 volt because, well, no. And I think about it now. That was the problem with the Fords is they didn't have the clarity on them.
It's literally 5 volts, man. I'm telling you. I know that. And look, I never really disagree with you a lot, but I'm telling you right now, I know it's 5 volts.
The signal wire, I think, is 5 volts. But I remember the Fords having clarity issues when it was that was the problem. If you got the mass air meter too big, the velocity of air across it is a lot lower than what it'd be if it was real small. Right? So when you had it really big, Fords had a clarity issue where the velocity across that meter, because it's technically what it is it is two hot wires, okay, and it heats up, and whatever voltage it needs to maintain the temperature on the wire is relates to the air, right? How much air is coming in.
Just
when the
resistance.
velocity is really low, the clarity of the meter was not very good, and that's because it would have the only reason that would be is because the scale was so small. That's the only reason that would be that way.
People used to put K&N filters. When they put K&N filters on the Fords, that oil would get on top of those things and the car would run like shit.
Yeah,
burn them up. Get into the undies. No. SSR Performance is saying here is as soon as the rules drop, it's on. I'm going to set it off. Sounds great, man. Have it up. Actually, I would say before the rules drop, wait until John puts up a number on that orange board. So that way, when you start talking about it, you actually can say this time and this date. You can say that every single video. So that way it's always known. Because the first one you've talking shit is probably the most viral. At least have a date of the race is what I would say. That's just my suggestion.
So SSR Performance says the mass air food is 0 to 5 volts, but I know exactly what he's talking about. Mass airflow sensor is 0 to 5 volts. So we used to, that used to be the trick on the 5-liter Fords was put a resistor in line with that signal. And you could, generally, if it was running fat, you could trim it. You could trim it and make it work. And then generally it was pretty good across the scale at that point once you get it trimmed in.
Yeah, I had an old Ford Escort GT before when I had a Neon that I was dodging cones with. Then I got this Ford Escort GT, and it had the 1.8 dual overhead cam Mazda engine in it. It was super light, and it was literally a rally car that I got for $300 at an auction, and that's what I started cone dodging with. Then when I changed the pump out, because remember it's OBD1, this is way before computer programming and everything. It was OBD1. I changed the pump, I changed the injectors, but then I didn't have enough air going into the engine now. And I had cams reground, so I put a resistor on the mass airflow sensor to get the air fuel mixture back up there, because that was back when it was not even a wide band; it was a short band. So it was like
it's a narrow band sensor.
Yeah, it's narrow band. So like it was yellow, green, red, green, red. You know, you just go back and forth. It was funny.
Yeah, the Fords were EEC4 is what it was called.
Yeah, is that what it is?
Yeah, EEC4, IV, EEC4. I always used to name all my home-built computers EEC4. Okay. I used to love the Ford 5-liter fuel injection. That's what was on my white Ford pickup truck with that 393 Windsor was the stock Mustang computer with mass air meter trigger on it. So
Miss Catchy's saying that I believe most of you good people are over in the States are having Thanksgiving, so have a great ripper of a one. Yeah, thanks. It's actually, it's tomorrow. And that's this is kind of our Thanksgiving edition for all you guys here. James saying that we used to tune LT1 cars with resistors to trick the computer LOA. That was years ago. Exactly. I actually bought what was it called? A Mega Squirt. Remember those? A Mega Squirt would piggyback the computer. So you would send all the signals out of the car, go to the Mega Squirt, and then the Mega Squirt would trick the computer. So you would put all your tuning into the Mega Squirt and it would trick the computer so it would run correctly. That was the very first Mega Squirt that I ever got.
I always used the Ford EEC4. It was you could manipulate it so easy.
Yeah.
I tried it on my T-Bird. It was just too hairy. I literally had to go to something else. Let's see. Buick Smith said, would that theoretically be more accurate to balance a setup than a flow bench as it would be on the running engine? Man, I don't think there's any gain to doing that.
I wanted when I was still messing with Volkswagens, I wanted to make one so that way. Back when I used to tune the Webers, I used to put this little plunger on the top of it and had a little gauge on it that would move to each one. I wanted to have it so that way you could set up a mass airflow sensor onto each one, and then that way you could tune the Webers that way because they're so far apart, But I never got to that point. But that was one of the first tools I ever wanted to. That'd be like a techie type of tool. SSR said that they would add they would add like 8 degrees of timing by tricking the IAC sensor.
Yeah. Just by
Yep.
telling it colder it's than what it is. That was, and he said, did that with the Anderson piggyback on Foxes. Dude, I remember wading through the sea of those things, the AEM, the purple piggyback computers. Oh my God. I was like, everyone told me I was nuts. I was going to put an EEC4, just a stock EEC4. It was an A9P computer on that, on my T-Bird when I built that 427. And I had the stock throttle body. Well, it wasn't a stock. It was a Mustang replacement throttle body, but it had the regular EPS and the Ford, the IAC motor, that's hanging off of it. All that stuff was stock Ford stuff. And I had one made. And then I'm like, when I hit the key and it was just like, fuck you. Like, no, it didn't even know what to do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I don't even know where to begin tricking it at. So I eventually just gave up because I couldn't even get it to trick it to get it to run. It would literally light off one cylinder and it would not pop again. And then you would have to unplug the computer, plug it back in, and then try all over again. And it was so painful.
Buke Smith saying that he remembers those bouncers for the Webers from the daughter's Toyota days. Yes, exactly. In fact, I used to, back when people were still running Toyotas in the desert, I used to tune those things, and I would use the exact same thing. Side draft Webers, I'd put it on there. But they didn't seem to last very long on the side drafts in that environment because of the sand. No amount of air cleaner and outer wears that you could put on top of those things would ever keep the sand out of a Weber, because the emulsion tubes would come straight out. They're literally uncovered unless you cover up the whole thing. So, can you believe, man, we're only 8 minutes away?
Yeah, I know. Well, that thing you're talking about, that flow meter that you're talking about for like Webers, and you could use them for Hillborns, and
everything. Yeah,
I learned that in San Diego, and I went to that car swap meet and show that we used to be out of
Jack Murphy.
Well, before it was at Jack Murphy, it was at like Mira Mesa College or something.
Oh yeah.
So I went to like Mira Mesa College, and there was a dude there that was selling those, right? And I'm like, man, I wonder what this is for. So I asked him, and he says, it's for a multi-carb setup. And I'm like, do you think this is why that people that run like tri-powers and 2 4-barrels have a hard time getting the car right because they don't adjust any of this stuff? And he was like, guaranteed.
100%.
Because I've never even seen anybody do that with a flow meter. And he showed me that, the tops that have the 4 volutes in the top that people use for like an air cleaner now or something. But that was meant for
that. Exactly.
Yeah.
The velocity stack, you would sit it right inside there. And the Webers actually run the best with those velocity stacks on them. So you put them right in there, and that way it meters the air.
Yeah. Dustdale Garage saying, would a flow meter like that help cars tuning tunnel ram? Yep. Mm-hmm. Sure would.
Honestly, here's another trick. I mean, look, I was a musician for a while, so I have a really good ear of hearing different tones and different signals and pattern. I'm a pattern recognition machine, it seems like. But if you just take a simple tube and put it to the Venturi on each barrel, you can hear it on those. So when I have a tunnel ram, I'll still use a wideband. But if you just take a simple hose, put it to your ear, and just put it on each Venturi, you can hear it. You will literally hear a tone difference, especially between the 2 carburetors. Just on the primary side, you can hear it. So try that sometime, and it really does work. You'll hear it.
Oh, so Buick Smith is saying, speaking of desert racing, one of my neighbors is going to build a rig for Baja. Who runs the sanctioning body for Baja? That's Score.
Yep.
Yeah.
I raced in Score. I used to race in all the there was another one called Chicken Bones Racing that I used to race in. That was mostly like motocross, and that was District 37 and District 38. I used to race in both of those. Open.
What I always wanted to go to, like I didn't know had changed like in the past 20 years, was you remember the Mint 400 where they used to run from the Mint Casino, like the Mint Gaming Hall, and they would run 400 miles in the desert to something. I don't remember what it was. I think it was a beer bash actually at the end. But it changed somewhere in like the 90s or something. Then they don't start from the Mint, and the Mint's gone, I believe.
Yeah, they go up. I guess they call it something else, but I think it's called the Vegas 400 now. But they're literally at Prim. you know, where the state line's at by that dry lake bed out there. That's where they race now, out there, because there's really nowhere to place a race in Vegas. And there's another one too where I did Barstow. I used to do Barstow to Vegas back in the 90s, but then because of like the environmentalists, they cut that down. They just reopened it again. But I used to love that, the Barstow to Vegas, because it was a hare and hound series. You literally you'd be in a big long line with whatever class you're in. Dead start, you had to straddle the front end. You had to jump around, start it. And the first checkpoint was a smoke signal, and you had to just ride open desert to that smoke signal, and then you would see the next smoke signal, and you'd race to that. And it was literally from Barstow to Vegas.
Oh, the only thing I got is the Score Baja 1000 on my PlayStation 2, and I would do that. It's fun.
Yeah, I did the Baja 500 on a KX 500, and I Ironmanned it. So by myself, did 500 miles open desert racing on my own. That was brutal. And I was trying to get into shape to do the 1,000. I always wanted to do 1,000, but there's just no way to do it now. I was in my 20s when I did that, and I was still like literally broken.
I always wanted to do that. I wanted to just finish, because like 50% of them fail.
Oh, it's a attrition rate. Yeah.
And I just wanted to finish the race. A home built car finished the race. And my buddy and I, we actually came up with an idea. We're just going to use like a 90s or maybe early 2000s Ford Ranger, right? Like an extended cab, short bed Ford Ranger. You put the radiator in the bed, right? And then you run a bunch of nitrous oxide on it. And you're only sprinting with like 100 shot, right? But you run like, 4 15-pound bottles if you can. When you get stuck in the silt
is that's terrible, man. I went through the silt beds. It's terrible. Literally, it's just powdered dirt.
That's when I figured you would hit the nitrous oxide. Is that?
Yeah, but it's long. I mean, you'd be on the nitrous for about 50 miles of silt.
Well, it'd probably burn up then.
Yeah, because it's the silt beds literally are just it's like an old dry lake bed, and it literally just turns into fluff dust, and it's just terrible. But they actually have a class for that. I think it's class 11. I think is what it is. That's stock Volkswagens.
Oh yeah, I know, but I did not want to do a Volkswagen. I figured it was fun. Build your own. You know how they got the independent front suspension, like on the I-beam, twin I-beam on the Ranger, right?
Yeah, that's
so you could go with that like the long elongated I-beam, and then set it up kind of like a Humvee, right? Man, I think it would do really well.
Yeah. Well, anyways, man, we only got a couple more minutes.
And
you got any videos
Ron
coming
Ward
up?
just flew in here.
Yeah, what's going on?
Saying happy Thanksgiving, you turkeys. WKRP turkey drop.
Well, anyways, you got any videos coming up? I know that you were talking about it. Now you
No, I was sick all week, man. I didn't do crap. I just laid on the couch.
I understand that, but
I got. I'll have a video coming up of me welding the intake manifold. Plus, Easy 302 is going back to the dyno. Believe it or not, right now I'm just working on a date. Hopefully, this one's gonna be set in stone. My cohort's already bailed on me tonight, so he hasn't said anything about it. But right now, it's looking like I'm going to be going back to the dyno with the Easy, and we're going to try out a couple intake manifolds and a carburetor and all kinds of stuff, and see if we can squeeze the magic 400 out of that dude. Plus, after that, it's going up for sale, and it's going up for sale for $10 per horsepower. So, just let's hopefully it makes 450.
For me, I got my DLC lifters, and I was actually just talking to Dallas just before there. I've got the cylinder head done for Plan Z. I have the short block built over there. And this next video drop is going to be about oil pans, windage trays, and everything for the Slant 6, because I have to build it custom because they just don't have them. And I've got studs on the bottom, so I can't use the factory stuff. So, but yeah, I should have a video coming out. I just took a break after Six Smokies because I was literally posting every day for a while, and I was just like, I'm over it right now. So I want to be fun. When it becomes a job, I stop. When it becomes fun, I do it again. So it's going to be fun. So with that, you know what? You guys have a great Thanksgiving, man. Tomorrow's a big turkey day. Eat a lot. Don't do anything. We've already pre-cooked, so all we have to do literally tomorrow is warm up and eat. So it's going to be a nice, relaxing day for us.
I'm having turkey TV dinner.
Oh,
Yeah, Danny Boyd says, make like horse crap and hit the road.
right. That's good. So, and with that, go see Mr. John Wilburn on this Friday. I believe this Friday on John Wilburn at 7 Central. He's going to be revealing the date, and he should have a number on his orange thing in the back. And by that time, me and Dallas, I'll get with Dallas, and we will hammer out those. Make sure that he gets those things posted for all you to see, because that way, when the number's up, we'll have it. So,
that means I got to have it done the next day. So I guess tomorrow, Thanksgiving, I'll be working on that. So I'll see you all. Yeah, next week.
Yeah, and we'll see you guys all next week. Happy Thanksgiving, guys. Take it easy. And,
Gobble, gobble.
Gobble, gobble, right?
Yeah.